Breaking news: Trump stopped World War III, claims Russian envoy amid Ukraine ceasefire push. By DXD DerlinXDive, April 4, 2025. Headline developments. 1. Russian envoy credits Trump with averting global conflict. Kirill Dmitriev, CEO of Russia's sovereign wealth fund and a key Putin ally, declared that the Trump administration stopped World War III and achieved sizable progress toward resolving the Ukraine war during talks in Washington. Dmitriev emphasized ongoing diplomatic discussions but offered no specifics on terms. 2. Trump, Zelensky and Putin ready to make a deal. President Trump claimed both Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and Russia's Vladimir Putin are prepared to negotiate an end to the war. He cited recent conversations with Zelensky and called for an immediate halt to casualties, though he avoided details on Russian demands. 3. Skepticism from allies and analysts. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio warned that Washington will determine within weeks if Russia is serious about peace, stressing actions over words. European leaders, including Britain's David Lammy and France's Jean-Noël Barrot, accused Putin of dragging his feet and violating ceasefire agreements. Analysts highlighted discrepancies in U.S.-Russia ceasefire interpretations, with Russia insisting on concessions like sanctions relief, while Ukraine and the West demand unconditional halts to attacks. 4. On the ground. DXD DerlinXDive final analysis, decoding Putin's sudden ceasefire shift. The abrupt Russian pivot toward a tentative ceasefire agreement, after months of rejecting U.S. proposals and violating prior truces, reveals a calculated Kremlin strategy to exploit diplomatic chaos while masking deeper ambitions. Here's the breakdown. 1. Sanctions relief is the true prize. Putin's sudden openness aligns with Moscow's long-standing demand for sanctions relief, particularly targeting Russia's financial and agricultural sectors. The Kremlin's earlier impossible demands, such as reconnecting Roskosmosbank to SWIFT, were likely stalling tactics to gauge U.S. flexibility and fracture transatlantic unity. By appearing cooperative now, Putin aims to extract phased concessions, including dollar access for sanctioned entities, which could revive Russia's war-strained economy without ending hostilities. 2. Ceasefire violations as a pressure tool. Russia's initial ceasefire breaches, e.g., strikes on Kharkiv and Sudza offensives, served dual purposes, testing Western resolve and creating leverage. By escalating violence, Putin forced Ukraine and its allies into a defensive posture, making concessions like territorial compromises or NATO exclusion seem unavoidable. The recapture of Kursk territory further bolstered Moscow's bargaining power, allowing Putin to frame the ceasefire as a gesture of goodwill rather than a retreat. 3. Exploiting Trump's eagerness for a win. The Kremlin recognizes Trump's urgency to secure a pre-election diplomatic victory. By dangling the prospect of a deal, while embedding poison pills like Ukraine's demilitarization and NATO bans, Putin positions Trump as a peacemaker reliant on Russian cooperation. This asymmetry empowers Moscow to demand concessions, exempla, U.S. troop reductions in Europe, under the guise of de-escalation. 4. Global South narrative control. Russia's focus on food and fertilizer sanctions relief isn't just economic, it's geopolitical. By framing demands around stabilizing global food prices, Putin seeks to rehabilitate Russia's image in the global South, painting Western sanctions as the root cause of hunger crises. This narrative diverts blame from Russia's Black Sea blockades and weaponized grain diplomacy. 5. The trap of temporary truces. European officials warn that Putin views ceasefires as tactical pauses to regroup, not peace efforts. The Kremlin's history in Georgia and Donbass shows a pattern of using truces to legitimize territorial grabs and rearm. A 30-day halt could allow Russia to resupply forces, pressure Ukraine's dwindling arsenal, and exploit Western fatigue. Bottom line, Putin's sudden agreement is less a breakthrough than a gambit to lock in gains while the West is distracted. For Trump, the deal risks legitimizing Russian conquests unless enforceable security guarantees, e.g., NATO-backed deterrence, are prioritized. Ukraine's fate now hinges on whether Western leaders see through Moscow's ruse or fall for the oldest play in the Kremlin's book, peace is war by other means. DXD DerlinXDive, cutting through the noise, one geopolitical gambit at a time.